a smiling family photo on the mantle, white picket fences, quiet cul-de-sacs where nothing ever goes wrong. But sometimes, behind those perfect smiles, hides something monstrous. Tonight, we peel back the frame and uncover the chilling truth of suburban families who looked perfect until blood stained the picture. Suburbia sells a dream: manicured lawns, friendly neighbors, safety. Families here compete not with fists, but with appearances. Who has the cleaner home, the fancier car, the best holiday photos? Yet, beneath that curated image, some parents wear masks so convincing even their closest friends can't see the cracks. Those cracks, when they finally split open, reveal secrets darker than anyone imagined. Behind closed doors, pressure mounts. The mortgage is overdue. The job promotion never came. Children sense tension but can't name it. And the parents? They hold it together long enough to smile for Christmas cards. But pressure doesn't vanish. It builds like gas in a sealed room, waiting for one spark. In the suburbs, that spark can turn a dream life into a nightmare. The most chilling truth? These stories didn't unfold in faraway places. They happened in neighborhoods just like yours. Streets lined with maple trees, block parties every summer, school buses rolling past at 7:30 sharp. Murder wasn't supposed to exist here. And yet, behind drawn curtains, lives were shattering while the world admired a perfect photo. Every family photo is a snapshot, smiles frozen in time. But frames can be deceptive. A polished portrait doesn't capture the argument minutes before the shutter clicked, or the bruises carefully hidden under sleeves. Police would later return to those same homes, staring at the photos still hanging on walls, wondering how no one saw the darkness lurking inside. Ask the neighbors, and the answer is always the same. They seemed like such a happy family. The kids played outside. The parents waved at block parties. No police calls, no alarms. But evil doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers in hushed voices after midnight, when no one's listening and no one suspects a thing. Every perfect image has flaws if you look close enough. Maybe it's the father's clenched jaw in a family portrait, or the mother's eyes, too hollow, too forced. Detectives often revisit these photos, noticing what friends overlooked. They become crime scene evidence, relics of the perfect life that never really existed. Suburbs thrive on secrecy. Behind matching shutters and tidy hedges, people lock away more than valuables. They hide addictions, infidelity, debts, abuse. These secrets pile up like junk in an attic, ignored until the weight becomes unbearable. And when the collapse comes, it's never quiet. It's violent. It's final. And it shocks everyone who thought they knew the family next door. The irony is cruel. The camera, built to capture truth, often tells the biggest lie. Investigators have studied smiling family portraits taken just weeks, sometimes days, before entire households were wiped out in violence. The smiles looked genuine, but behind them was terror. The camera didn't capture the truth, only the mask. It's December. A mailbox stuffed with glittering envelopes, families dressed in matching sweaters, posing before a twinkling tree. Friends marvel at the joy in each snapshot. But one card in particular would haunt detectives later. The father's arm wrapped tightly around his wife, the children sitting stiffly on the floor. Weeks later, that family's home became a crime scene. The cheerful photo? A chilling prelude. In 2018, the world watched in horror as the facade shattered in Colorado. Chris Watts, father, husband, neighbor, appeared on TV begging for his family's safe return. But behind the mask of grief, he had all but ready buried the truth. Within days, investigators uncovered the unimaginable. He had murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. The perfect family photo became evidence of betrayal. Watts fooled millions for 48 hours. His interviews went viral, neighbors calling him a good man. But body language betrayed him, arms crossed, eyes darting. The photo of his smiling wife, Shanann, and daughters circled the internet while the nation held its breath. When the truth emerged, that same image became unbearable. Proof that even the most picture-perfect life can conceal horror. Decades earlier, in 1971, another suburban facade collapsed in New Jersey. John List, a devout churchgoer and accountant, executed his entire family inside their 19-room mansion. He arranged their bodies, left classical music playing, and disappeared. For years, neighbors walked past the silent house, Christmas lights still strung up. On the mantel inside, family portraits smiling back at empty rooms. List embodied the suburban ideal. Church every Sunday, polite greetings, steady work. But financial ruin gnawed at him. He couldn't bear the shame of losing his home or his family's status. So he decided if he couldn't provide, he'd erase them. His crime shook America, not only for its brutality, but because no one suspected the quiet man who waved from his driveway. For 18 years, John List vanished. The family photo on the piano became infamous, a smiling image of children who never grew up. Eventually, a forensic sculptor recreated List's face on America's Most Wanted. When the world saw the side-by-side of his old photo and the new bust, the disguise crumbled. He was caught. The perfect family image had been shattered forever. In 1989, Beverly Hills was rocked by a crime that seemed impossible in its setting of wealth and privilege. Lyle and Eric Menendez, two young men raised in luxury, walked into their family's mansion one night with shotguns. Minutes later, their parents lay dead in the den. The crime scene was gruesome, the violence shocking. But what stunned the nation most was the accused, their own sons. Family photos of the brothers in polo shirts and tennis gear, smiling beside their parents, flooded the news. Those same photos, once symbols of success, now served as grim reminders that even the wealthiest families can hide fatal fractures. Behind the glossy smiles was a household plagued by fear, pressure, and unspoken abuse. The murders shattered the illusion of Beverly Hills perfection, revealing that behind money, gated driveways, and manicured lawns, darkness can thrive just as easily. The Menendez case captivated America. Televised court sessions turned into national theater, viewers unable to look away. Prosecutors painted the brothers as greedy heirs who killed to inherit millions. Defense attorneys told a different story of years of abuse, manipulation, and terror behind closed doors. Those smiling family portraits became exhibits, each photo dissected for hidden meanings. Were the smiles genuine or forced? Did the boys know then what fate awaited their parents? Millions debated in living rooms, classrooms, and offices. In the end, the suburban ideal of safety and family unity was on trial as much as the brothers themselves. For the first time, Americans began to ask, how many perfect families in those polished photos were hiding cracks invisible to the outside world? The Menendez case wasn't just about two sons and their parents. It became a mirror for the nation itself. By the 1990s, America had grown obsessed with the image of suburbia. TV shows sold the fantasy. White fences, calm streets, family barbecues. But real life told a darker story. In communities across the country, headlines of family annihilations surfaced with chilling frequency. A father snapping under financial ruin. A mother hiding untreated depression. Children caught in storms they never created. Again and again, reporters stood outside cul-de-sacs, broadcasting the same lines. This was a quiet neighborhood. Nobody saw this coming. Photos taped to telephone poles, smiling parents, laughing children, became haunting memorials. Each case seemed unique, yet the pattern was familiar. The suburbs promised safety, but they also created pressure cookers. And when those pressures exploded, they revealed a truth most were too afraid to say aloud. Evil doesn't always come from the dark alleys of cities. Sometimes it grows in the very places we feel safest. Sociologists call it the family next door syndrome, the belief that violence only happens to other people. It's why neighbors are always shocked when police cars line a suburban street. We convince ourselves that smiles in family portraits equal stability. But the truth is, those photographs only capture a second in time. They hide unpaid bills stacked on the counter. They hide slammed doors after midnight. They hide whispered threats no one outside the house will ever hear. This blindness allows tragedies to grow unnoticed. When the murders finally happen, the photos resurface on every news outlet, each headline echoing the same paradox. They looked like the perfect family. That's the trap. Perfection blinds us. It lulls entire neighborhoods into silence, until it's too late. By the 2000s, family murders in suburban America weren't isolated horrors. They were an epidemic. The FBI began compiling data, noting patterns in these so-called family annihilations. They often followed financial strain, crumbling marriages, or hidden abuse. But what tied them together was image. Almost every case left behind smiling photos, birthday parties, graduations, vacations. The images circulated in newspapers and online, turning victims into frozen symbols of innocence. Detectives studying these cases described the pattern as both predictable and impossible to stop. To neighbors, each tragedy was an anomaly. To investigators, it was the same nightmare repeating in DI. Different houses, different towns, and different smiling photographs. The epidemic forced America to confront an uncomfortable reality. The suburbs, long seen as safe havens, could hide some of the darkest crimes imaginable. Every crime scene tells a story, but it's the family photo that lingers longest. Smiling children, proud parents, a frozen moment of happiness. Those images end up taped to memorials, flashed across news broadcasts, scrolled endlessly on social media. But now we look at them differently. No longer as symbols of love, but as reminders of how easily perfection can deceive us. Behind the picture frame there may have been fear. Behind the smiles, silence. And behind the doors of a suburban home, secrets so dark, they would one day erupt into tragedy. So the next time you see a perfect family photo, remember this. A picture can only show what people want you to see. The truth lives outside the frame. It hides in arguments never spoken of, in struggles no neighbor ever witnesses. The suburbs may promise safety, but as we've seen tonight, appearances can kill. This has been Behind the Perfect Family Photo, the unseen murders of the suburbs. Stay aware, stay questioning, and remember, sometimes the darkest stories hide in plain sight.